Y'all just tell me who the nominee is going to be. Let me know when you guys are finished fighting amongst yourselves who I got to vote for in November to keep Hitler out the White House. That's all I want to know. Who I got to vote for to keep Hitler out the White House. Y'all do your thing. Play in traffic all you want in front of these Republicans, acting a fool in front of these people instead of privately declaring your stuff. But don't text me no more because I'm not taking no more of these texts. Just let me know when you guys are finished figuring it out, Democrats, because I know y'all the freak out people. Go ahead and freak out, have your conversation, and then let me know who I got to vote for to keep Hitler out the White House. That's it. I'm done. Oh, and by the way, if it's Biden in a coma, I'm going to vote for Biden in a coma. I don't even really particularly like the guy. A lot of his policies, don't like him. He's not Donald Trump, right? Yeah. Hitler, White House. We keeping him out. Keeping Project 2025 out. That's all I care about. Up and down the ballot, from the rooter to the tutor. School board, all the way up to White House and everything in between. Governors, members of Congress. I'm just going to vote all the way down to keep these people out. The Project 2025 thing is the whole Republican Party. At this point, it's not about Biden. It is not about him. It's above me now. There's a Best Western next door. It is about keeping Donald Trump and his Project 2025 friends out of power. That's it for me, y'all. Y'all let me know what you think.
I think you should be institutionalized in a padded room, strapped around with a straitjacket. I mean, gang, they are literally melting down. The Democrats are in a full-blown panic. They don't even know who their nominee is. The fallout from the debate is so bad. We're literally just 100 days out from the election. They can't even agree as to who their nominee is. We're going to look at the latest Democrat civil war that's erupted within their ranks over the collapsing Biden campaign. And we're going to see the latest on the political earthquake that just rocked Great Britain. A new world is rising, gang. A new conservative age is rising, and we've got a front row seat. Greetings, everyone. It is Live Stream Friday. I'm your host, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times, or we're saying increasingly these senile times. So whatever you do, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe on a blessed Independence weekend to all of you. You want to highlight from yesterday, by the way, take a look at this. These are scenes coming out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, where the local officials banned crosses from being displayed at their 4th of July parade. And so what do patriots in Coeur d'Alene do? Of course, they fill the parade with crosses. That's what patriots do. They stand up to tyrants. So bravo to the courageous patriots over at Coeur d'Alene. God bless you guys. We're live on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, you name it. We got a jam-packed show here for you today, and I mean jam-packed. We're going to get right into the analysis of what appears to be the complete collapse of the Biden campaign, as well as the astonishing surge of Nigel Farage and the Reform Party in the UK. Remember, as always, not as always, as many of you know, our super chats have been completely disabled because we've been totally demonetized by YouTube. So if you want to ask me your questions today on the show, I'll answer them. I'll be happy to. All you got to do is just click on that link below or go to fight.turleytalks.com. That's fight.turleytalks.com. Sign up for any level of support you like. You'll have instant access to our own private virtual platform where you can ask me your questions, and I'll be happy to answer them right here on this live stream. So just click on that link below or go to fight.turleytalks.com. Sign up for any level of support that works for you, and I'll answer your questions on this live stream. Also, do not forget to click on that link below and RSVP for our very special online call to arms event on July 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's an online event where we're going to be getting into practical action plans for what you can do right now to make sure that we win massively, and I mean massively, in November. We simply can't be complacent, right? We all know that. And so we need to have clear, actionable steps to take right now in order to make sure that November is too big to rig. So don't wait. I just got word that the Wisconsin Supreme Court, the liberal Wisconsin Supreme Court, remember, they had an open seat for their Supreme Court and a Democrat won it. They just overturned the ban on ballot drop boxes. in Wisconsin. It just broke within the last hour. They just overturned that ban. We need to get organized, and that's exactly what this upcoming what do we want to call it? Online. I'm having a Biden moment. An online call to arms event is all about. We beat Medicare. So don't wait. Click on that link below. It's a completely free event, but our virtual seats are filling up fast. Also, I've got a wonderful free gift for you. Now, originally, this free gift was for the first 500 of you that RSVP'd. Gang, well, just to put it bluntly, you gobbled it up. The first 500 RSVP literally hours after our live stream announcing our call to arms event ended. But I want you to have this. So we're giving it away free to another first 500, okay? All right, don't get mad at me. First 500, we're going to have another first 500. So be one of the next 500 to RSVP for this free online event on Thursday, July the 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Just click on that link below to RSVP, and I'm going to send you this free gift. It's our Courageous Conservatives kit. And this is wonderful. The first part of the kit is my blueprint I've used to build my own parallel economy for my family, my local community. I've summarized some of the ways that I've done this in a guide called Building Your Own Patriot Ecosystem. So this is going to help you get a sense of what to do in the weeks and months ahead. So these are very, very practical action items that you can take right now to help build a society of faith, family, and freedom. And then in addition to that, I'm also giving you my fake news antidote. And that's my own personal list of websites and resources that I go to daily to do my own research and get real news as opposed to all the fake news that's out there. So you're going to absolutely love this Courageous Conservatives kit. It's going to prepare you for this call to arms event so you can take action now and realize your own unique role in making history here. So click on that link below. Don't wait. Click on that link below, RSVP, so we can all learn what we need to do now to make sure we win massively in November. There really is no two ways of putting this, gang. The Democrats are today in a total and complete meltdown. The Biden campaign, as we speak, is in shambles. Again, you have to let this hit you. We are now just over 100 days away from Election Day, November 5th. We're just over 100 days away. And Donald Trump still does not know who he's running against. He doesn't care. He'll crush whoever they eventually put up against him. But you need to let that hit you in terms of the state of the race as we speak right now. If you want to know the state of the Biden campaign right now as we speak post-debate, the Democrats, after every single primary has ended in all 50 states, the Democrats cannot agree as to who their nominee ought to be. That's how bad the Biden campaign is imploded. This is a campaign that has already run tens of millions of dollars of TV ads in battleground states. I know. I see them every night in Pennsylvania. This is a campaign that has already assumed the Democrat mantle for 2024 with all the primaries concluded. That campaign that's spent already tens of millions of dollars, that's already amassed all the delegates needed for the nomination. That campaign, right now as we speak, is in total disarray. As Trump is raking in literally hundreds of millions of dollars per month. As Trump's campaign and polling, ours we'll see in a mere moment, as his campaign and polling are surging, as he's actually in the process of expanding the electoral map. There are now officially 10 swing states as we speak. as Trump is busy doing all that, Biden's campaign is in complete chaos. Don't take my word for it. Here is Van Jones on CNN saying the quiet part and panicked part out loud.
I'm just going to be honest. I mean, everybody comes on the air and says all this great stuff, but behind the scenes, it's full-scale panic. People are passing around legal memos, PDFs are flying back and forth on WhatsApp, trying to figure out what are the options, how can you replace Biden, how do you get him to do it in a way where he feels respected, as he should be respected, who should Kamala Harris's vice president be? The conversation on air and the conversation off air are completely different. And so it's the same thing you saw with the Trump situation, where people would come on air and defend Trump, and then you talk to people, and then we got a crazy candidate. We don't have a crazy candidate. We have a great candidate. We have a beautiful man. We have someone who loves this country. We have someone who has given his all. I mean, his all to the last drop for this country, but he may not be able to get across the finish line. And a mature party has to take that into account, and that is what's happening. And so, look, I understand people want to, defend him and protect him and give him the space and the dignity to make his own choice. But there is a big conversation happening right now about how this happens, not whether.
I mean, you heard him. You heard him say it behind the scenes. There is full-scale panic. Again, ignore the pathetic pandering to Biden and Biden voters. He's a beautiful man. What a beautiful man. Ooh. You heard it yourself. Behind the scenes, there is full-scale panic. This is the same guy who said it's not panic, it's pain. Remember on Thursday night, the night of the debate. This is it. We're not talking panic. This is pain. This is going beyond panic. This is physically hurting. And this is coming from CNN. They're not even hiding it anymore. I mean, you just have to let that hit you. CNN and the Democrats are now openly admitting not only that there is a full-scale panic behind the scenes, but that the powers that be are doing everything they possibly can. He called it, we're a mature party. We have to do this, whatever the hell that means. The powers that be in the Democratic Party are doing everything they can right now to get rid of Biden. They want him out. Because as I'm sure we've all seen, things have only gone from bad to worse since the debate. If you thought that debate was bad, how about Biden now claiming that he is the first female black president? I kid you not. Roll it.
I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, serve with a black president. I'm proud of the first black woman in the Supreme Court. There's just so much that we can do because together there's nothing. Look, this is the United States of America.
Look, Jack. Jack, this is the United States of America, and I am so proud to be the first black woman president. I mean, if you can believe it, the freaks over at the AP are actually still doubling down on this insanity. I kid you. Now, admittedly, they're one of the last ones. Virtually all the other legacy media outlets have abandoned Biden at this point. But the AP has taken gaslighting to a whole new level with this unbelievable headline. Here it is. If you're listening by way of our 20 million podcast downloads, here it is. Biden at 81. Sharp and focused, but sometimes confused and forgetful. Biden, 81, sharp and focused, but yeah, admittedly, sometimes confused and forgetful. I mean, what do you even begin to say to that? I mean, can you think of it this way? Can you imagine these freaks at the AP, these left-wing activists disguised as journalists? Can you imagine them doing something comparable? This comparable gaslighting gymnastics for Trump? I mean, this is just, it's beyond cringe. It's beyond embarrassing. Guys, seriously, at the AP, seriously, read the room. No one's buying this anymore. Read the room. Here's the latest post-debate polling. If you haven't seen it, this just dropped from Remington Research Group. It's of the battleground states. I mean, this is, if you're Team Biden, I mean, it doesn't get worse than this. Wisconsin, Trump is now up 6. I mean, Trump is just pulling away with it here. He's up 6. Okay, that's too big to rig at this point. He's up 6 in Wisconsin. He's up 5 in Pennsylvania. He keeps going up and up in Pennsylvania. It's stunning. He's up 3 in Michigan. He's up an insurmountable 7 in Arizona. I mean, it's getting to be his biggest lead yet. Biden has not led Arizona in literally years now. Trump is up 7 in Nevada. It looks certain that he's going to win. He's going to be the first Republican to win Nevada in 20 years, since 2004. And for some odd reason, they put Texas, Ohio, and Montana on there. I don't quite know why, because, I mean, there's no conceivable universe where Biden wins those 3 states. Trump's got a double-digit lead. I mean, in Montana, it's over 20 points. But now, this Remington Research poll obviously comes on the heels of another poll that we covered just a couple of days back. That was a confidential memo that was leaked out by some disgruntled Democrat. It was leaked out to Puck News, and it revealed the findings of a brand new poll conducted by a Democrat data firm called Open Labs, and it was conducted in the 72 hours after that disastrous debate on Thursday night. Again, if you don't know, both campaigns, Biden and Trump campaigns, they spend tens of millions of dollars on polling. So their polls, their internal polls, which are supposed to be secret, they tend, because you don't want the other side to know what you're finding out. I mean, this is basically intelligence gathering. It's reconnaissance, right? Recon, right? If you want to know where to effectively spend your tens, or if not hundreds of millions of dollars, you got to have reliable polling. So somebody leaked out this poll, this internal poll within the Biden campaign, taken over the course of 72 hours after the debate. And the results were literally jaw-dropping. Take a look at this. According to the Democrats' own polling, Trump is crushing Biden in North Carolina by 11. But he's crushing Biden in all 10 contested states right now. I mean, I've just go down the list. It's stunning. In Virginia, New Mexico, New Hampshire, they're now contested. These are solid blue. I'm getting ahead of myself. Trump is crushing Biden in North Carolina by 11. He's crushing him in Georgia and Arizona by 10. He's crushing him by 9 in Nevada. That tends to overlap with the previous poll that we just saw from Remington. He's up 7 in Pennsylvania. He's up 7 in Michigan. He's up 4 in Wisconsin. He's up 3 in New Hampshire. He's up 0.6 in Virginia and up 0.5 in New Mexico. And to add insult to injury, Biden's lead in Minnesota and Colorado are within the margin of error. Gang, seriously, this is insane. And if the Democrats think running Kamala is going to save them, they just got smacked in the face with a serious dose of reality. The Daily Mail poll that just dropped, it's got Trump up 5 over Biden nationally, but Trump is up by double digits over Cackle's Kamala. He's up by 11. So if they run Cackle's Kamala, I mean, that is going to translate into a Reagan-like 1980 landslide, okay? I mean, 11 points. And by the way, this pollster who did it for the JL Partners, who did it for Daily Mail, does tend to have a history of underestimating Republican turnout. So this polling could be even worse than that. At the same time, Trump is pulling away with a couple of major Democrat demographics in the latest New York Times poll, Trump is winning now officially the Latino vote. He's winning it by 6 points. He is now officially winning. He's winning overall by 6 points. He's winning the Latino vote by 9 points, 50-41. And again, keep in mind, Biden won Hispanics by 30 points in 2020. I mean, this is astonishing. He won it with 65% of the vote. 32% went for Trump. I mean, you're seeing a 30 point swing over to Trump at this point. And keep in mind, Biden beat Trump. He beat Trump by 11 among voters under 30. Now Trump is leading with voters under 30, 48-40. This is just, I'm serious. I look at these numbers and I'm almost hesitant to say them because they're so utterly devastating for Biden. We knew it was going to happen. We predicted it. We predicted 1 week ago today in our live stream Friday after that debate debacle. We predicted the polls were going to be coming out over the course of this week, and they were guaranteed to be devastating to Biden. The Democrats' surrogates over at Politico. Politico is just basically a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party at this point. They're freaking out. I mean, they're literally freaking out. they're looking at the polls and they're just simply saying there's no sign these polls have bottomed out. They just keep going down and down and down. Biden's approval rating now on average is plunging into the low 30s. He may hit the high 20s. No president in the history of approval ratings has ever come close to winning re-election with numbers stuck in the 30s. Nevertheless, the rank and file Democrat voter out there wants Biden to stay. The primaries are over. Democrats overwhelmingly voted for Biden to be their nominee in a rigged primary. And despite the panic that's setting in with the Democrat operatives and leadership that we're hearing about from Van Jones on CNN, the rank and file Democrats want Biden to stay. Take a look.
A growing number of voters want President Biden to drop out of the race after his poor showing at last week's debate. This is coming from new numbers out this morning in a CBS News poll. How does this all add, though, to the overall picture of what Biden is up against at this moment, and can he make it through? CNN's Harry Anton is here, and he's been looking at that. Adding it all together in your own analysis of what you're looking at, how are Democrats feeling from the numbers available about Biden right now?
Yeah, people forgot to tell Democrats, if folks want Joe Biden to drop out, they forgot to tell Democratic voters that he should drop out, all right? So this is a Reuters Ipsos poll that was out in the last 24 hours. Should Joe Biden leave the presidential race after the debate? Look, overall, yeah, the majority of Americans, 56%, say, yeah, he should leave the race. But look among Democrats. This is Joe Biden's base. This is why he is the president. They nominated him back in 2020. They nominated him again in 2024. 66% of Democrats say no, he should not leave the race. And of course, it's going to be these Democratic voters who put the pressure on their members of Congress, their governors, the elected officials, party actors to try and get Biden to leave. At this particular point, though, the Democratic activists are not necessarily going to put the pressure on Joe Biden because the fact of the matter is most Democratic voters, 2/3 of them, want Joe Biden to stay in this race. They don't want him to quit, Kate.
So there you go. 2/3 of Democrats want Biden to stay. That's why he's staying. There's no way around that at this point. That's why he's staying. He's got the voters behind him. Even though he's experiencing a polling free fall, Democrats overwhelmingly 2/3 want him to stay. And that stubbornness among Democrat voters is putting them on a direct collision course with Democrat donors and editorial boards. We got a full-blown civil war erupting here, gang, within the Democratic Party. Butter the popcorn. This is going to be glorious. But first, gang, if you are just joining us, if you want to ask me your questions because YouTube has suspended our super chats, just click on that link below. Join any one of our levels of support, and you have access to our own virtual platform where you can ask me all of your questions. I'll be happy to answer them on this live stream. So just click on that link below. Go to fight.turleytalks.com. Sign up for any level of support, and then you can ask me your questions. I'll be happy to answer them right here, right now. Also, as you know, it is springtime, and the bees are out buzzing, but they're doing a lot more than just pollinating. Now bees are saving America from the woke wave of leftist culture that's trying to wipe out all that's good and true and beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, Turley Talks is teaming up with Make Honey Great Again to bring you something truly spectacular, MAGA honey. You are going to love this. This is awesome. You can now get a 16-ounce bottle of pure, raw, sweet, delicious ultra MAGA honey packaged in a bottle that looks like our great president, Donald Trump. This untouched raw honey comes straight from 11,000 hives in South Carolina. And gang, I am telling you, honey never tasted as good as it does coming from a Trump-inspired bottle. Trust me. So what are you waiting for, gang? Click on that link below or visit MakeHoneyGreatAgain.com. Use promo code Turley to show your support. We can make honey and America great again. Click on that link below right now. Man, I love natural honey. All natural. It's just... You're gonna love it. All right. So even though Democrat voters overwhelmingly want Biden to stay, the calls among the Democrat ruling elite for Biden to step down are escalating beyond belief. We've now got a Disney heiress threatening to withhold all high-ticket donations until Biden steps down. This is a threat from Abigail Disney, the granddaughter of Roy Disney, one of the two original co-founders of the Walt Disney Company. She has confirmed that she is indeed trying to pressure Biden to drop out of the race by withholding her mega millions from the party as a whole until they dump him. And she's encouraging other mega donors to follow her lead, which reports are more and more of them are doing. The mega donor class is basically trying to starve the Democrat Party into dropping Biden. The Economist is now joining the growing chorus of dishonest, duplicitous media outlets calling on Biden to withdraw from the race. Keep in mind, these are the same people that were supporting him when he was hiding in his basement just 20 minutes away from here. One of Biden's most sincere and ardent supporters over the last 3.5 years has been the liberals over at The Economist. But now, for the good of the nation, it's time for Biden to go, even though they're Brits, by the way. The Economist is a British publication. Here's what they said, quote, "The presidential debate was awful for Joe Biden, but the cover-up has been worse. The dishonesty of his campaign provokes contempt. He must withdraw." You know what provokes contempt, you lying scumbags over at The Economist? You know what provokes contempt? It's the fact that you knew this guy was cognitively declining. You knew it. You've known it for years, but you didn't give a rat's ass over it. That is what's provoking contempt for me. You are the self-proclaimed guardians of liberal globalism. You at The Economist are the dedicated defenders of the liberal international order, and you saw Trump as an existential threat to that order, and you deliberately backed a frazzled, dilapidated, demented man so as to shamelessly try to preserve that comparably frazzled, dilapidated, demented world order. And now that your lies have been exposed for all to see, what are you doing? You're doubling down on deceit. You're doubling down on deceit. You're blaming a cover-up. You're the effing cover-up, dudes. And now what are you doing? in the midst of being that cover-up exposed. Now what are you doing? You're openly doubling down on thwarting the will of Democrat voters who overwhelmingly want Biden to remain as their nominee. You literally can't make this shit up. I mean, I want this to think in. The leaders of the party who are claiming that Trump and his supporters are the threat to democracy are the very ones who are trying to deliberately disenfranchise 66%, a super majority of their voters. These party leaders, these legacy media outlet liars, are openly trying to thwart what 2/3 of their party want. And they call us a threat to democracy. Talk about projection. And it gets even worse. Given that Biden is showing no signs of stepping down since he has 66% of his party behind him, now the 25th Amendment is openly being talked about. I kid you not. It just gets better and better. As far as Democrat insiders are concerned, if Biden won't step down, they're thinking of invoking the 25th Amendment to make him step down. Again, just taking a couple of steps back here, gang, this debate, I think we're safe to say at this point, this debate will go down in history as it is the single worst presidential debate ever in the history of our republic. Remember, we talked about this with Rich Barris just the other day. Generally speaking, presidential debates don't matter. Okay. There were two debates that were very consequential. 1960, the Nixon-Kennedy debate, when that was the first televised debate, and Kennedy was your first televised president, really, in that sense. So you had the 1960 debate, Nixon-Kennedy, and you had the 1980 debate, the Reagan-Carter debate. That was their sole debate. I think it was just a week before the elections, and just Reagan did it, man. He sold it. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? It was the most brilliant question. It got tens of millions of people to say, no, we're not. And so they voted for Reagan. So those were generally agreed upon. Those are your two very consequential debates that impacted what happened in November in each of their respective years. This debate, the one we just all witnessed a week ago, that looks like it's putting those two debates to shame in terms of just how utterly consequential it was for the upcoming November election. I mean, seriously, gang. Seriously. I'll say it again. We are just over 100 days away from this election, and Donald Trump still does not know who his opponent is. You just have to let that hit you. If you want to really get a sense of just how bad things are for Biden and the Democrats right now, we're just 100 or so days away from the election, and they don't even know who their nominee is. Yes, it's presumptively Biden. He has all the delegates that are legally bound to him, by the way. Keep in mind. You can't just arbitrarily, hand those delegates off to someone else that voters did not vote for. Yes, Biden has all the delegates, but he doesn't have the donors anymore. He doesn't have the editorial boards anymore. He doesn't have the Democrat political class anymore. They've largely abandoned him. We just saw it the other day. Biden is trying to find a via media in all of this. So he just met with a number of Democrat governors in the hopes of shoring up their support as his campaign is just in a free fall, complete collapse. And frankly, it just got worse. We now know two embarrassing details that got leaked out of that meeting with the 20 Democrat governors. Of course, again, they all came out. So we're 100% behind Joe. Absolutely. He's got our support. But then they're leaking two utterly embarrassing details. First, Biden admitted to them he needed more sleep. He needed to do less work, cut down on events after 8 p.m. He literally said that. He needs to nap more, and he needs to cut All events after 8 p.m. Don't worry about me, guys. I just need to work less and sleep more. Hit the sack around 8 p.m. So that's the first embarrassing leak. The second was the revelation of a secret doctor's visit, which was only disclosed because of this meeting. Karine Jean-Pierre, the borderline illiterate, who's the diversity hires White House spokesperson, she denied before that leak, she denied that Biden had seen a doctor. We now know he did. And Biden told the governors, don't worry, my health is fine. It's just my brain that has a problem. Now, Democrat staffers are trying to pass that remark off as a joke. Don't worry, the president's fine. It's just his brain. He was just joking, I promise. But literally everyone is like, dude, that ain't funny. I mean, there's nothing trivial about the fact that we all know. I mean, editorial boards included, that you're in obvious cognitive decline. So the governor's meeting was yet another disaster in a whole litany of disasters that began with last Thursday night. At the same time, the Trump campaign just dropped their latest ad on Independence Day. Gang, take a look at this.
Together, we are part of one of the greatest stories ever told, the story of America. It is the epic tale of a great nation whose people have risked everything for what they know is right and what they know is true. On this day, 243 years ago, our founding fathers pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to declare independence and defend our God-given rights. As we will never forget that we are Americans and the future belongs to us. The spirit of American independence will never fade, never fail, but will reign forever and ever and ever. To every citizen throughout our land, have a glorious Independence Day. Have a great 4th of July.
Man, I mean, freaking wow. I mean, the contrast between these two campaigns could not possibly be more stark. Absolutely astonishing stuff happening. Look, I mean, we could talk about it more in the Q&A, but I think the Democrats are stuck with Biden. I think it's too late. The only other plausible option is Kamala, which is even worse. She doesn't even have the power of the incumbency. I think they're stuck with Biden. I think the 66% Democrats are going to get what they want. But we could chat more about that, as well as a political earthquake that just happened across the pond in Britain yesterday. Yes, on July the 4th. Was I wrong to watch Wimbledon and follow the British election on Independence Day here? I wonder. Yes, probably. No, of course, because we're all patriots here. Wait until you see the latest developments that are happening in the UK. They are stunning. But first, if you are just joining us, if you want to ask me your questions, because YouTube has suspended our super chats, just click on that link below. Join any one of our levels of support at fight.turleytalks.com. That's fight.turleytalks.com. You have instant access to our very own virtual private platform where you can ask me all your questions, and I'll be happy to answer them on this live stream. Also, 2020. What comes to mind? All right. COVID, the coming of a frail and feeble president with wide open borders. Gang, it's no longer a matter of if, it's only when. When will the next emergency situation happen? We're still a long, long way from November. And if we're paying any attention at all, it's likely almost upon us. So being prepared is no longer a choice. It's a necessity. Thank God for the wellness company. Gang, they are absolutely amazing. They've given me and my family the peace of mind to handle any medical crisis from my family, from tick bites to the next pandemic. The wellness company's medical emergency kit is a true lifeline. This is absolutely essential to stock up on in case of an emergency. It's chock full of essential meds like ivermectin and antibiotics and antivirals, so much more. This kit gives you real peace of mind for this area of preparedness. And the Wellness Company is a team of renowned medical professionals, including Dr. Peter McCullough and Dr. James Thorpe and Dr. Harvey Risch and Dr. Drew Pinsky, and even more truth-seeking doctors. The medical emergency kit they've designed sets the gold standard for safety and prevention. Gang, don't wait until the next crisis is here. Get peace of mind now just by clicking on that link below, or just visit twc.health/Turley. That's twc.health/Turley, and use promo code Turley for an exclusive 10% discount. I've got my own emergency pack. It's your turn. Click on that link below right now. I love it. So awesome. So important to have meds in your preparedness tools. It's not just water. It's not just food. It's meds as well, and they're the best. All right. Yesterday, we had a huge election throughout the UK. Their national parliament elections, and it was an absolutely breathtaking destruction of the Tory party, the so-called Conservatives. I'll show you why in a mere moment. But the huge news of the night was the rise of Nigel Farage and the Reform UK party. They absolutely crushed it. For the first time, Nigel Farage, the original leader of the successful Brexit referendum, he is now officially entering Parliament. President Trump sent his congratulations to Farage, who won the seat in Clacton, which is it's a coastal city in the southeast of Britain, if I recall correctly. Here is the British political scholar Matt Goodwin on what really happened in terms of the seismic political shift all throughout the UK.
So Reform, overall, the vote's gone up 13%. But what's happened is the Conservatives have basically collapsed in the most pro-Brexit parts of the country. So, if you look at the less Brexity seats, the Conservative vote share's gone down 12 points. But get this, it's gone down by nearly 30 points in the most pro-Brexit seats. So what's happened in those areas is that big Boris Johnson coalition, working class voters, older voters, culturally conservative voters, very sceptical about mass immigration, anxious about the small votes. Basically, Reform have stormed through those areas and cost the Conservatives a lot of seats. So if you put the Conservative, the margin of defeat for Conservatives is smaller than the vote for Reform in about 180 seats. So that gives you a sense of the scale of low-level damage that Nigel Farage has done.
So what Matt Goodwin is getting at there is basically yesterday in the national elections across the UK. Yesterday, we saw a massive, and I mean a massive, Tory coalition completely unravel and collapse. So this goes back to December of 2019. The Conservatives, the Tories, same thing, won the biggest landslide victory they had won in nearly, we're talking a century. It was absolutely astonishing. And it was all based on they were going to, quote, get Brexit done. So they became the true Brexit party. There was a Brexit party at that time, led by Nigel Farage, that sort of stepped down, said, we'll support the Tories. You need to get Brexit done. It was a watershed moment in UK politics because it wasn't just Brexit. It was, we're going to stop immigration, right? We're going to stop all this woke nonsense. We're going to cut taxes. It was a strong nationalist, populist, traditionalist platform. And what ended up happening is in December of 2019, it was really a watershed moment in UK politics. You had region after region after region that had never voted Tory before, very blue-collar, working-class regions that were once the foundation, in many ways, of the Labour Party. They suddenly defected. They switched over. They voted for the Tories en masse. Very, very similar to what happened here in the States back in 2016, when nearly 200 counties in Ohio and Wisconsin and Iowa and Michigan and Pennsylvania that had voted for the Democrats in every single presidential election for decades suddenly switched over and voted Trump, some by a 20-point margin. Okay. December of 2019 saw the same realignment, political realignment, with the same kind of political defections from Labour over to the Tories in the UK. And while Boris Johnson and the Tories negotiated a relatively good Brexit, they completely betrayed their voters on immigration, wokeness, taxes, you name it. I came across, just to give you a sense of how angry the Brits were at the Tories yesterday, I came across a very interesting stat. 40% of all foreigners in the UK right now, 40% came in the last 10 years under Tory rule. The Tories have ruled for the last 14 years. December 2019, they just increased their majority overwhelmingly. But Tories have been ruling for the last 14 years. And during that time, when Britain was dominated by a party that had promised to close their borders, it was during that time that Britain saw its single most massive surge in immigration numbers ever. And so what Matt Goodwin was saying there is that yesterday, that coalition that formed back in December 2019, where you had working class regions voting for the Tories, that coalition totally collapsed. Now those regions are voting Reform, the Reform UK party of Nigel Farage, who was the original leader of Brexit. The most pro-Brexit regions throughout the country completely turned their backs on the Tories. By the way, congressional Republicans, beware. Congressional Republicans, Mike Johnson, beware. What happened across the pond is exactly what is going to happen to you if you continue to treat your core voters with comparable contempt. We will eventually turn on you. And that's exactly what happened in Britain yesterday. The Tories' vote collapsed by 30% in the most pro-Brexit areas, and those voters defected en masse to a brand new party that's not even 4 years old. It's called Reform UK Party. And they are a thoroughly nationalist, populist, traditionalist party. And they won almost 20% of the vote all across the UK. So now, what you're going to hear a lot about is, oh no, their leftist Labour government won. They're going to be in charge for the next 5 years. And they did. They won overwhelmingly by over 400 seats. Keep in mind that vote. And we had Dan Tubb on from the Lotus Eaters, a British, a UK channel. We had him on last week to explain what was about to happen. That vote for Labour was intentional. It was not a vote because people loved Labour. Actually, generally, most Brits don't. It was a vote intended to decisively punish the Tories and force them to become a truly conservative nationalist populist party like Reform. And now, with Reform pulling in almost 20% of the vote, Reform will, I believe, try and I think successfully pull the Tories in their direction so that for their next election, we may be seeing a nationalist populist supermajority with a revamped Tory party and a surging Reform party forming a massive coalition. So we'll see. We'll see if the Tories learn their lesson. But either way, that was some pretty amazing stuff happening all around the world, most especially the UK. And then we've got France's election coming up. This Sunday, where National Rally looks like they're going to storm the French Assembly, their parliament. So amazing stuff happening all over the world. Over to you. I know you got plenty you want to talk about. As our moderators, Josh and Mike, assemble your questions. Remember, if you want to ask me your questions, because YouTube has suspended our super chats, just click on that link below, join any one of our levels of support, and you have access to our own virtual platform. We can ask me all your questions. I'll be happy to answer them here on this live stream. Also, our good friend, Mike Lindell, he's been on this channel several times. He needs our help. Mike's been on the channel a number of times, as you know, and he's one of the strongest patriots working tirelessly for the America First and MAGA movements in this country, from election integrity to protecting American businesses. Mike really does it all. And now, as the cabal of deep state lawyers and election machine companies are trying to take Mike down with frivolous lawsuits. He needs your support now more than ever. And so to show his appreciation, Mike is offering incredible MyPillow deals with promo code Turley. If you click on that link below right now, you could save well over 60%. You heard that right, 60% on all sorts of incredible MyPillow products. Of course, Mike's is offering huge savings on the new and improved MyPillow 2.0. But gang, I could not recommend enough Mike's My Slippers as well as his bed sheets. These are some of the comfiest slippers and sheets I've ever owned. In fact, I would use that word to describe all of MyPillow's products. Comfy to the max. So don't wait, gang. Support Mike as he fights for election integrity and gets some extremely comfy things to boot. It's a win-win. Don't wait. Click that link or go to mypillow.com/Turley right now. All right, guys, what do we got? Wendy, have you seen one of the left-wing news groups suggesting that it's time to start using AI for Biden? It's so true. It's the Huffington Post. So you got the AP dumbing down on stupid. He's sharp as a tack. He's witty, but sometimes he does get a little confused and mumbly. Well, which is it, right? You got the AP doubling down on stupid. Now you've got the Huffington Post doubling down on stupid. They were complaining about video deepfakes prior to the Thursday night, debacle, weapon of mass destruction. They were complaining about video deepfakes. They were complaining of the way AI was being used to show a sharp and cogent Joe Biden looking frail and feeble. Now these same people are saying we got to use video deepfakes. We got to use AI, but now this time to make somebody who is obviously cognitively declined, frail, and feeble to look virulent and strong. You can't make this stuff up. It's stunning. If this were fiction, I wouldn't believe it. Thanks, Wendy. Paul, I saw an article on Truth Social from Fox this morning about how low morale is among how low morale is among the White House staff right now. This whole thing has become a comedy of errors. I like that, Paul. And sure is fun to watch. Yes, that's butter the popcorn, especially when you add the nincompoops like Joy Reid and her airheaded rants. I mean, it's just, again, you can't pay for this stuff, man. I mean, this is just, I mean, seriously, you can't. This is stuff I would pay good money for, ticket money, just to watch this comedy of errors. You said it brilliantly. Yes, they are. I think the panic is starting to hit them that no matter what they do, they've lost. That is, we said it here on this channel 1 week ago today. Last night, Thursday night, that night was the end of Joe Biden's presidency. And I think we're seeing it. I mean, nobody takes this presidency seriously anymore. He can't do public appearances. I mean, outside ones that are incredibly choreographed and scripted. And then even did you see the other day when he grabbed the mic and everyone went, oh my, you could see it behind him. I almost played it for you. You could see the tension and of his handlers behind him as he grabbed the mic and he started freewheeling it. And they're like, oh gosh, don't please. So yes, I think they're realizing that no matter what forget switching them out with anyone, no matter what they do, they are going to freak out half their party. They're going to make half their party very, very upset. I mean, even Rich Barris said the other day, if they have just a war between Gavin Newsom's people and Cackle's Kamala, that's a war between two California politicians. That's a war between a former California senator and a current California governor. You don't think you're going to have a civil war clash there? Again, among the powerful elite? I mean, it's incredible. It's unbelievable. So yes, this is a comedy of errors. The morale is absolutely low because I think they're recognizing no matter what they do, this is over. We can't get complacent, right? That's why you got to click on that link below and sign up for the RSVP for the Call to Arms event that we're going to have on the 17th. We cannot get complacent. But if we do what we're all supposed to be doing right now, is we'll lay it out on the 17th. This is going to be too big to rig. So I believe that full-fledged. So click on that link in RSVP. Mystic Thorn, what are we to do? Every election, an estimated 25 million Christians won't vote. Oh, come on, Mystic Tom, come on. 25 million Christians won't vote. 15 million won't register. If these voted straight our ticket in 2024, MAGA would rule. I'm with you. Get out there. Get out there and do it. Now, I know there is the Faith and Freedom Coalition. They're in all 50 states. Ralph Reed started that. So check out your state's Faith and Freedom Coalition. Get in touch with them and find out directly from them what are they doing to register every single evangelical and conservative Catholic in your state. Because that's what they need to be doing. I'm with you 1,000%. I'm with you 1,000%. If every single conservative, evangelical, Catholic church out there voted, we would crush it. I think we were a third of the electorate, the Christian right, as we're called. I think we're a third of the electorate back in 2016. So if we were half of that electorate, it's over. We'd rule for the foreseeable future. So get in touch with Ralph Reed's Faith and Freedom Coalition. They do a conference every year, but every state has a Faith and Freedom chapter. Find out what they're doing to not only just register voters, but also to make sure that they're ballot harvesting, if it's allowed in your state, in evangelical churches. That's what's known as the Southern California ballot harvesting strategy. We'll need to do this in Wisconsin, as it turns out, where you go into evangelical churches. This is actually, Tom, this is the way you do it. Now that I'm thinking out loud, you make sure you have a ballot harvesting initiative for every single conservative evangelical church in your state and conservative Catholic church in your state. And you'll know it based on what the priests are saying or the archbishop of that diocese is saying. You'll know where they stand on the cultural issues. So every single one of them needs to have ballot harvesting initiatives so that 100% of the vote turns out. Because all they have to do is fill it out and put it in a box. And then the elders take it to a precinct that has tens of thousands of Steve Bannon volunteers who are going to be the ones counting the ballots. So it's a holistic approach, right? So get in touch with Faith and Freedom Coalition. Make sure if ballot harvesting is allowed in your state, make sure they are creating the network needed, the infrastructure needed to have 100% conservative evangelical, conservative Christian support. Awesome. Very good, Mr. Tom. I thought, I'm sorry if I dismissed it originally. I thought you were being a doomer, but you were like, let's do it. What do we do? How do we get action? And so you're not a Denethor. You're not lighting yourself, pouring oil on yourself, lighting yourself on fire and jumping off a cliff. I love the way you're thinking. So forgive me for at first dismissing. Forgive me. Jeffrey, Trump now needs a policy change that will push him to 80% of the entire national vote. Given the debate disaster and his numbers not going any higher than they are, what are your thoughts now on that, Steve? That is a good question. So there was a study done, I believe it was in 2018. I've written about it. I'm writing. It's part of a chapter in this book I'm doing right now. It should be out actually in the next month or so. It's the working title is Unstoppable: How Trump and the MAGA Movement Have Changed the World. And there was a very in-depth study, several thousand participants, and they found that the basic planks of MAGA, the basic structure of MAGA, which is closing borders, border security, energy independence, industrial jobs brought back home, not farming them out to third world nations, tariffs for countries that were imposing tariffs on us, and a totally anti-woke traditionalist approach to culture. Those 5 issues of Trumpism, right? Border security, economic security, and cultural security. You can summarize them in those 3. Had anywhere from 70 to 80% on average support. So I think you're thinking there, either you've read some or you've got this intuitive sense that MAGA is that popular. Steve Bannon has talked a lot about, God, but keep Steve in your prayers. Steve Bannon has talked a lot about this, where he said this country is MAGA. MAGA has a super majority support to it. But the Democrats are, I mean, you should see Bob Casey, Senator Bob Casey, the commercials here in Pennsylvania. I'm just south of Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania line. I get Pennsylvania television here. I mean, you should see it. They're all border secure. Bob Casey's doing everything he can, more than anyone else ever in the history of humanity, to secure our borders. He's a liar. He's a liar. He's a pro-Biden Democrat who's done everything he can to open them up, but they can't run on that. So I'm with you. I think, to be honest with you, I think Trump doubling down on two fundamental issues, the economy and the border, he will get a supermajority. He will get a supermajority. It will be massive. The economy and the border. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to make the economy great again, and I'm going to make that border great again. That's where I would go with it, Jeff. Awesome. Melissa, I heard that Biden is going to do an interview with Stephanopoulos on ABC. Why would they let him do that after what happened last week? So as I understand it, Stephanopoulos is ABC News at this point. To his credit, that kid, he worked his way up the ABC ladder. He is ABC News. He is the one who decides what ABC News coverage is going to be. He, as I understand it, he's the one who will tank a poll. If there is a poll that is, there was apparently, Rich Barris again talked about this. Apparently there was an ABC News poll a couple of months back that had Trump up, I think, like by 13. And they spiked the poll. They got rid of it. And apparently that was Stephanopoulos who said, we cannot. So they put out a poll that had everything, all the data, but who are you going to vote for? Everything. Who are you going to vote for down ticket? What issues are most important for you to, but not at any point did they ask, or did they publish, I should say, who are you going to vote for? And inside the polling guild, word on the street is it's because it was Trump plus 13, and they just couldn't do it. They already had a Trump plus 10 ABC poll a few weeks before that. So Stephanopoulos is a Democrat. Stephanopoulos is a shameless shill for the Democrat Party. He always has been. And he's going to do his part to try to revive Biden. Make no mistake, they don't think they can win. What they're concerned about now are the down tickets. They're concerned about Senate races, House races, governor races, state legislature races. That's what they're freaking out over. They're trying to salvage that. They know they can't salvage, but they know what has been done cannot be undone. So what they can possibly do is try to bring back some of what they've lost so that Trump's lead doesn't turn into 10 points. It stays at around 5 or 6. But again, if Trump is leading nationally 5 or 6, I mean, forget it. This thing is over. Pollsters are in broad agreement. A Democrat, because of the disadvantage of the battleground states. Battleground states are significantly more Republican than the nation at large because they have a larger percentage of blue collar and non-college grad voters in them in Arizona and Georgia, and Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania. They, generally speaking, it's believed that a Democrat needs to win about 3%, by about at least 3% of the popular vote, the national vote, in order to have the margins needed to be able to win at least 3 of the 5 of the battleground states. And if Trump is, if Biden is underwater by 8, Trump is up by 5 or even 4. I mean, if they're even tied, I mean, they know this is going to be a disaster. So they're just trying to contain Trump's margin at this point. And so that's what I think Stephanopoulos is trying to do. Again, I don't think we cannot unsee what 50 million people saw. There's no way around it. Thank you, Melissa. Marco DZ, do you think anyone the Democrats could put forward would actually volunteer to lose to Trump in a landslide, thus probably scuttling their own political career? Might be why Gruesome Newsom, do you have a second part to that? Is not, I'm assuming, why Gruesome Newsom is behind Trump or behind Biden right now, which is what he is. Yeah, I'm with you, Marco. I don't think I think they're stuck with Biden. I don't think anybody else wants it. The only other person I could see is Cackle's Kamala. Yeah, standing behind Biden. Very good. Yeah. The only one I could see is Cackle's Kamala, just kind of inheriting it as the vice president. Because if Biden steps, you have to understand what's happening here. If Biden steps down, if Biden withdraws from the race, there is going to be enormous pressure for him to step down as president. There's going to be enormous. If you're not fit to campaign, you're not fit to be president. It's that simple. Okay. If you're not cognitively up to the task to campaign, you are not cognitively up to the task to, to have the nuclear codes. So there's going to be enormous pressure to get rid of him. So Kamala would naturally take over. I don't know how to work out the logistics when all is said and done about how to give Kamala delegates that did not vote for her. Okay, this is a real big problem right now. Again, in the end, they may just have to say, all right, Biden's on the ballot, but Kamala is going to serve his term, right? Biden's on the ballot, Kamala is going to serve his term. That's what they had to do in Missouri. And Claire McCaskill, her husband died. He was running for Senate against John Ashcroft. He died during the campaign. But his name stayed on the ballot, and Claire McCaskill's wife simply said, I'll serve out his term. And so John Ashcroft, and there was a sympathy vote, and John Ashcroft he's the only senator that ever lost to a dead man in an election that year. So I forget when that was, 2010, something. I forget. I don't know. It's 2008, I think it was. But anyway. So no, I think you're right. I think they're shot. I think that Biden is it. And they're not going to be able to undo what happened. No shenanigans are going to undo that. Solo Thinker, what can we expect to happen at the DNC given Biden's gaffes? So what's happening right now is the DNC does what it does best. It goes against the will of voters. They are actively right now, as Van Jones is saying, and a number of other reports that are coming out are saying, they are actively seeing who they can get. They're trying to do two things. They're trying to actively get Joe to step down. And then number two, they're trying to get somebody else to run in his place. But they're scared to death. The only legal and logistic option here is Cackle's Kamala, who would do even worse than Biden. That's the dirty little secret, because she doesn't have the power of the incumbency, and she's a clown. Nobody buys into her. And Trump is already starting to have some fun with her. You probably have seen that. But that's what they're doing, because they're desperate. They're scared to death. And so they're trying to see what they can do to get rid of Biden. They're seeing who they can replace him with. Most like 98% chance it would be Kamala. And they're trying to salvage the down ticket. That's where they are right now. And they do risk a full-blown civil war inside the Democrat Party, because 66% of their voters want to keep Biden. They're in with him. They generally like him, and they don't care. As far as they're concerned, you could switch him out after he gets elected. But you heard Joy Reid. They just need to keep Hitler out of the White House. That's their only goal at this point. Melissa, I heard that Biden is going to do an interview. We already got that. Oh, why would they let him do? Right. Very good. We already got that. Come on, boys. We need to moderate these questions a little better. Do you think that Biden actually does a second debate? I can't imagine Biden performs better with the now daily gas we're getting from his live appearances since the first debate. From Joe Bro. I would be unbelievably surprised if there was a second debate. And you just saw Trump. Trump is already trolling him. He's like, all right, hey, Joe, let's do our second debate, but now it's on my terms. Now it's on my terms. Let's have just you and me in front of a massive audience, no moderator, you and me. Let's go. I mean, I can't imagine there'll be a second debate at this point. Again, they'll talk tough. You saw them trying to talk tough in North Carolina at the rally the following day. But everyone knows it's all talk at this point. I don't think there'll be a second debate. Paul, is it true that if they change candidates, that the money Biden has raised will no longer be available to that new candidate? So this is coming up. Again, this is a logistic, legal nightmare. We are 100 days out from the election, and the Democrats don't know who their candidate is. This is insane. And one of the problems they're running into is donors did not give money generically to the Democrats. They gave money to a Biden campaign. And Biden, again, cannot just pick up and give that money to somebody else legally, as I understand it. He can't just take that money, say, for example, and give it over to Trump, right? So this is part of the nightmare. And I don't know what they're going to do. I think, again, logistically, if he cannot serve, then the second in command would most logically assume that cash. But I don't know if that's a done deal. I don't know if donors are going to go along with that. They may want to take their cash out. It's a nightmare. So you just showed how difficult this is getting. Again, more and more and more. The more we think through what the kind of nightmare it would be for this for switching out a candidate this late in the game. Joe Bro, I'm surprised Joe Biden isn't running away with this election, given that, according to him, he's held every major office, both public and private, in his 150-year career. Oh, Joe Bro, you're good, man. You're good. Yes. And the first Black woman president, too. I mean, he's just, yeah, that's for sure. CH. Are we really this happy about the Black woman president coming? And is this the CH I think this is? Well, maybe. If it is, love you, man. Are we really this happy about the Black woman president coming? I'm not sure that Trump would beat all of the other Dems because of white guilt vote and TDS vote. That might make Dem voters overlook the fact that he's not popular in California. So talking about Gavin Newsom. Yeah, I mean, again, it could be the case. The problem you're having with Newsom is you're going to unleash a Democrat civil war back in California with Kamala Harris's people. She was senator, so she's got an impressive political infrastructure in California that's just not going to roll over and allow, like you're saying, the first woman of color to be passed over. It would be brutal. It would be absolutely brutal. And I don't think Newsom wants it. I think he's reading. He's a savvy, scummy, but savvy politician who sees that this is not the year to run. This is insanity. There is no good answer for the Democrats at this point. But you're right. I mean, there's going to be 35% of the country that will go along with Joy Reid, and they will vote for a man in a coma. They will vote for anyone other than Trump. The TDS is real, and they've gone full zombie mode at this point. No question. Full zombie mode. The Democrat zombies. Michael McGee, Dr. Steve, what are the 10 swing states now? Okay, well, I showed them in that internal poll. So we've got Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Those are your 5. I think technically they still put North Carolina on there, but let me find the others. Maine, New Hampshire. Oh, good. Thank you, Josh. No, it's the other one. That's the Remington research. If you go to the next one, there it is. You see, I got my producers. They are the best. All right, so there you go. So it is North Carolina, but it's the bottom ones now. It's New Mexico, Virginia, New Hampshire. They don't have Maine on there, so it could be 11 at this point. It could be 11. And that's right. They were saying too, Minnesota and Colorado are within the margin of error, as is Maine. Yeah, there it is. Maine, the dash state there, because they've got a single district there that votes autonomously. So actually, it looks like we have shaping up to be 13 swing states. It's stunning. If you look at the map, the electoral map of what it would look like if Trump won all that, given what's happening right now, that's looking like it's going to be the very real possibility. It's like he wins like 380 electoral votes. It looks like 1988 when Bush Sr. Got 400 electoral votes. There were 10 states that voted for Dukakis. That was it. And we're looking at just basically 10, 12 states that are going with Biden at this point. It's just such a disaster. So there you go, Mike. Patriot Jules, I know at Dr. Steve, but we all said this in 2020, the whole year. I'm Black Friday'd, but dude, how does Trump win against a black man, Biden, who's been told he's black? Obviously, a black woman. I'm sorry, that's what CH said. A black woman, all right? Yeah, no. Granted, that's why we have that's why Patriot Jules, make sure you're there on the 17th. You're one of our insiders, I know, so you'll definitely we'll take good care of you. But that's why we're having this call to arms on the 17th, to make sure we are really ready for whatever they throw at us, so that we can make sure this thing is too big to rig. And I mean that from 2 angles. It's not just too big to rig in terms of the amount of votes, too big to rig in terms of the amount of volunteers that are working at the polls, that are working in the precincts, that are counting the votes, that are holding everything accountable, making sure we've got all of the ballot harvesting necessary now in Wisconsin, apparently. Make that their worst nightmare, that they unleash that, at all the evangelical and conservative churches. If we're too big to rig at the volunteer level, at the organizational level, as well as the vote level, we should be okay. But I'm with you. They could do it. I'm with you. I'm just Patriot Jules, the numbers are the numbers, right? The numbers are the numbers. And I know they can cheat, but don't go Denethor. Don't go Doomsayer now. It's not 2020 again. That was it will not be 70% mail-in ballots. We're not going to see that again. That's not going to happen in Arizona. It's not going to happen in Georgia. It's not going to happen. I don't think in Wisconsin. They still, even though they're opening it up to ballot harvesting, they still have extremely difficult mail-in procedures at this point right now in Wisconsin. So you're not going to see that. But I don't put anything past them. Rick, with the Chevron decision from SCOTUS, will citizens and corporations that have been impacted by bureaucratic decisions in the past need to use legal means to overturn those decisions? Or are they just unenforceable at this point? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question. So are those past decisions? So again, if just to make sure we're all on the same page, it was known as the Chevron deference. This was back in 1984, if I recall, Chevron versus some environmental company. And it basically said, it was a Supreme Court decision that basically told all courts, that when it comes to expert opinion on any regulative issue, it's the regulators in their own respective fields that will be treated as the authoritative experts. It was insane. It was an insane ruling. Because what it did is it basically set up the administrative state. It set up the regulative state so that regulators could regulate in any way. That's what OSHA did when they mandated that if you had a business with over 100 employees, everybody had to be vaxxed or they lose their job. Now, what the heck is the occupational department, OSHA, what the heck are they throwing down a mandate like that for? Well, it's because they're regulators and they could. And it's because of this decision, the Chevron decision that gave them that authority, that power. Well, SCOTUS, by the way, overturned that as unconstitutional. And now in the latest term, just the last week or two, they overturned the Chevron decision. They Roe v. Wade it. They overturned it. So now it's gone. I thought it was 6-3 decision. I forgot. So now you can sue the regulators and you can bring in your own experts and the courts could come in and say, no, you can't have those regulations. But what Rick is asking is perhaps they're not even going to enforce these 40 years of decisions any longer. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question. We'll have to see. Right now, I'm reading the regulative state is collapsing since last week. The regulative state is absolutely falling apart. All the lawyers that were there arguing on behalf of the state and so forth are going and looking for other jobs. They're not they're just, the regulative state is falling apart. It was one of the most consequential decisions of this term, next to the immunity decision, of course, which has basically sunk all of the cases against Trump at this point. So we'll have to see. Well, that's a good question. I don't know. We probably want to talk to someone like Robert Barnes, see what he thinks. I'm assuming it's going to be a combo. It's going to be a combo. You're going to have to relitigate some of these things, I'm assuming. But at the same time, it's going to be very hard to enforce them anymore, since the infrastructure, the legal infrastructure has been pulled out from under your feet. Awesome question, Rick. Vaughn, Dr. Steve, what's the possibility in your opinion that Donald Trump will not receive the GOP nomination? Nil. The GOP are consistent in their cowardice. Yeah, no, I know, but nil. No, he owns the party right now. He owns the money. He owns the power. No, it's total nil. Vaughn, that's a good question, but it's a good question because I think it reveals just how much we distrust the Republican establishment. And again, if you see what happened to the Tories yesterday, they went from 400 seats to barely 100. I mean, it was just a bloodbath. That's going to happen to the Republicans if they don't look out. They will get wigged. A third party will rise up and just knock them out. Rock Dog, Dr. Steve, as this Beto Joe train wreck continues, just how long do you think Trump coattails will be? 56 plus Senate seats, 60 plus in the House? Good question. Too early to know yet. I know we've got West Virginia, we've got Ohio, we've got Montana. So that's a +3 in the Senate. Things are looking real bad for McCormick thus far in Pennsylvania, because ironically, Casey, the Democrat, is running as a MAGA guy, just like Fetterman did in many ways. He's running as a populist, pro border security guy. It's hilarious. So we'll see. We'll see. Too soon to say about the coattails, and too soon to say about the House races. Right now, as we speak, Trump is surging, but there is a noticeable 10-point difference between him and the down ticket Republican. Rightly so. Many people do not trust the Republicans at this point. They just see him as total sellouts. Kevin, in spite of all the information that's coming to light, 2/3 of the Democrats still support Biden. What is it that's so appealing about the Democratic Party that anyone would be drawn to it? I was raised in a Democrat or die family in Illinois. By the time I graduated from high school, the shenanigans had convinced me that I wanted nothing to do with it. I think that a flashlight battery has too much power to give them. What is it that sucks people into their grasp to be mind wiped? Free stuff? Yeah, it depends which Democrat you're talking about. So, yeah, the underclass, sure, certainly the free stuff. They're voting for their free cash, free housing, the welfare, the welfare class, as it were. But no, I mean, when you look at, and then when you look at the media class, the political class, that's power. That's power and affluence. But there is a university class, a university indoctrinated class that you know they really do believe that everything that happened before them was racist, bigoted, phobic, unjust, and that they are messianic, and they just see the Democratic Party as the means of realizing that messianic mission. That's just the way I see it. So I think it's a combination and there's some cultural Marxism there as well, some just blatant racism, where non-whites have been convinced that the Republican Party is just this white supremacist party, and that if you want to vote for your own racial interests, you vote Democrat. And of course, that's falling apart in them. So you get like Dearborn or Hamtramck, Michigan. Hamtramck has a all Muslim, all Democrat city council that turned around and voted to ban the flying of the pride flag on any Hamtramck public building. So you're beginning to see, ironically, that racial, religious, identity politics wing of the Democratic Party even begin to fight each other as they gain power, because their one commonality is victimhood. But once they gain political power, they're not victims anymore. So they no longer share anything in common with other victim identities in that sense. So it's a hodgepodge of things, but and there's just no changing that. There really isn't. I know it's crazy, but what we'll try to do this next Thursday night, the 17th. So I'm going to try to give you some very clear talking points to help convince people who are on the fence to come on over to our side. And I'm just give you very, very straightforward way of being able to kind of walk them on over to our side. So many people right now are stammered. They're stupefied by what they saw on Thursday night. So click on the link below, register for our call to arms event. And I'm going to show you how to talk to your neighbors who are on the fence, your friends who are on the fence, to try to convince a number of them to come on over to our side. Edward, Dr. Steve, when will Canadians be able to dump Soy Boy Trudeau and his progressive loons? That should be coming up soon. They are a hung parliament. Usually hung parliaments only last for about 2 years in Canada. And Canada's just chomping at the bit to get rid of Trudeau. So let's see. Good question. Let me see if I've got that here. Because Pierre Poilievre should win. So they're saying fall 2025. That's a long time. They've been able to hold on. So fall 2025, a year after ours, October 2025. They should hold it sooner. It's just, yeah. Trudeau's a disaster. So Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, if they hold on to their polling lead, should win by a blowout by 20%. Vlad, do you hear that the Wisconsin Supreme Court reinstated ballot boxes? Yeah, I just brought that up. Vlad, I know. Again, the good news is Wisconsin does still have very, very strict mail-in ballot laws and procedures that are in place. But there's no question. It was a ruling by the previous Supreme Court of Wisconsin that was a conservative majority, but then one of those conservatives abandoned the seat or left or died. I don't know what, but the seat opened up and then they had an election. A liberal won it. And now they have a slight liberal majority. And that was one of the things they promised, is they were going to overturn that that ban on mail-in ballot. Again, it may be too late, and we can use this to our advantage to make sure that every single conservative church throughout Wisconsin has a ballot harvesting initiative so that we get 100% conservative Christian turnout, which could be upwards of 35% of the electorate coming out on that if we're doing it rightly on November 5th. So yeah, it's but it is, again, it's just they're desperate. They're trying anything. I don't think it's going to work, but they're trying anything. Again, keep in mind, even with all of the insanity back in 2020, Biden only won Wisconsin by 20,000 votes. So I don't think there's anything they can do. But you're right. I mean, they're making it clear they're going to do anything. That's for sure. Patriot Jewel, Steve, is there any way legally that they can put someone else on the ticket? I thought they'd announce his death, stash him in the basement, add another name to the ballot like Kamala Newsom. Brickster. Yeah, what a name, right? This Colorado guy. Or Illinois guy. I just don't, at this point, other than Kamala, I just don't see it. I honestly don't see it. And maybe they could even find out some logistic legal way to do it. It would still, I think, unleash a civil war in the Democrat Party, because not everyone is going to be happy. In the end, the consensus candidate that pretty much all the voters have agreed upon is Joe Biden within the Democrat Party. And nearly 70%, 7 in 10 voting Democrats want Biden to be and remain the nominee. So if they do pull a fast one, the leadership, if they do pull a fast one on their voters, they're not all going to come out and vote for the replacement. It's just going to be a disaster. So that's what I think in the end, this is what Stephanopoulos is trying to do. Let's try to salvage what we can of the Biden presidency so as to benefit the down ticket as much as possible. But I think they know, just the very fact that we're even talking about this more than 1 week out, they know he's done for. CH, you think it would help if Trump ran on that zero income tax on tips thing? Yeah. In Vegas and anywhere you have service areas, definitely in Vegas. I mean, he's running away with it in Nevada at this point. But yeah, definitely. My son is a waiter, and I told him about it. I said, Trump's running on no tax on tips, and his eyes lit up. He said, "Are you serious?" I'm like, yeah. I mean, he's even talking about no income tax. Just put the money on tariffs, no income tax. So yeah, I think things like that would be awesome. That'd be really bold. People feel the pressure of inflation. They see it. There was a article out. Now people just can't take vacations anymore. They're skipping meals. So if a guy comes out and says, you know what, put me in, no tax on tips, and you know what, maybe we'll even get rid of the income tax, just replace it with tariffs, make other nations pay for it. You don't pay for it anymore. Whoa. I mean, in this context of this economy, wow. That could be that 80% bold initiative, a policy initiative that could galvanize the country. William O'Toole, happy 4th, Dr. Steve. Will the popularity of minorities for Trump have a trickle-down effect on the GOP, or will they ignore the gains of Trump because of swamp, hatred, and loyalty to DC protocol? Terminwamang. That's a great name. A great term. Right now, I don't see any evidence that the non-white vote is going to anyone other than Trump on the Republican side. Now, that may change the closer we get to November. But right now, like you said, the non-white vote that Trump has amassed, which is unprecedented for a Republican since the mass defection of blacks, particularly from the Republican Party, the party of Lincoln, to the Democrats, which I understand was, Dinesh D'Souza argues it really was in the 1930s with the free giveaways from FDR. and then got solidified in the Great Society of 1960. But I don't see it. I just don't see. I'm with you. They just don't trust Republicans right now, nor should they. They should not trust the party of McConnell. They should not trust the party of Mike Johnson. They should not trust the party of Paul Ryan, right? Or Karl Rove. It is a vile party. It is a horrid party. So what Trump is going to have to do is convince them that his MAGA policies, and convince them that just the ethos that they're so attracted to via Trump does translate down ticket. Now, he's got plenty of time to do it. And again, since he doesn't have to really run against Biden anymore, he can spend all his time doing that. He could spend all his time running against Bob Casey and running against all the Democrat guys in Ohio and Tessner and in Montana. So, yeah, that'd be very interesting to see. But right now, no, they'll vote. They'll vote right now. They'll vote Trump, and then they'll vote for some Democrat down ticket right now. Mr. Bob, any chance Joe runs to Joe's place? Possibly. That's what Claire McCaskill did in Missouri. Her husband died, and she filled in. She only spent one term in there, and then they voted her out. But possibly. I mean, it would be a disaster. It'd be an utter disaster. Patriot Jules, what is it about Trump that they call him Hitler? I actually stopped using my daddy's German name because Germans are so hated. Yeah, I know. It's just, Hitler's considered the universal evil. He's just considered the universal symbol of evil. And now they're just trying to paint Trump the same. It's just, again, it's Democrats. It's what they do. They don't think, they feel, and they come up with some of the most convoluted rhetoric imaginable. Quark Bender, since we now see the lies that were given to us by the lamestream media, do you think this will impact the same lies being had concerning Ukraine and money trafficking, money laundering to Vladimir Zelensky? That's pretty good. Alexandrovich Zelensky. Very good, Quark Bender. Yes, I do. And that's what a lot of commentators are saying. Joe Rogan was saying he's laughing with Jimmy Dore over the buffoonery of Joe Scarborough. Cogent. He is the most cogent he's ever been. Cogent. I mean, my heavens. And he's just a laughing stock at this point. So much of the legacy media is a laughing stock at this point. So now, yeah, the delegitimacy crisis hit a whole new level. We're talking DEFCON level as a result of last Thursday night, because all the headlines were telling. They're actually coming out and saying, well, the Economist did this. They covered it up. Biden's people covered it up. We didn't see it. BS. Nobody buys that. So yes, if they've been lying to us about Biden, the logical extension of that is very simple. How much more have they been lying to us? On what other issues have they been lying to us? It's all coming out. And Ukraine is at its lowest. It was even before the debate at its lowest support that it's ever been. And it'll just continue to implode. John, hi, Dr. Steve. Any truth to the rumor that Disney engineers brought Biden's robot from the Hall of Presidents to use instead of the real thing at the debate, but Jill vetoed the idea? Too bad, it would have been better. That's so funny. Wouldn't it have just him zit coming out and everyone just acts like it's totally normal? Oh, there's Joe coming on in. Hey, Joe, you're actually looking pretty good today. Oh, man. You guys are on today. Jill, have any of the J6 prisoners been released yet? I have not seen anything yet, Jill. So it's going to take some time to process. Now that ruling has come down, it's going to take some time to process it and hopefully get them out as soon as possible. No matter what happens, and hopefully they'll be out sooner than this, I doubt all of them will, but no matter what happens, watch for Trump on first day in office, January 20th, to pardon all J6ers. They're already talking about that. He will give them a full and complete pardon and have them released out by the end of the day. Chris, with no leadership now and wars popping off all over, Biden is removed from mental decline, not illness, and lack of confidence in everyone who covered this up, including the VP cabinet campaigners. Would the last sitting president take his place, or possibly a council? That's a good question. No, I don't think it. No, it wouldn't be a council. I don't think we have constitutional provision for that. No, it would be Kamala, and if it wasn't Kamala, it'd be Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson is third in line as the House of Representatives Speaker. So, but I'm with you. I mean, it's insane that the delegitimization that's going on right now is mind-boggling, and it's something I haven't talked about too much yet because I just want to let this play out another couple of weeks, maybe just another week or so, and just get a sense of it. But so delegitimization is the loss of trust and confidence in our public institutions. And Gallup has found in poll after poll after poll that our confidence and trust have been literally imploding among all public institutions all across the board. You know, our government, our financial institutions, our legal system, our legacy media, all across the board. And I would just imagine it hit an even deeper low as of last Thursday, just again across the board. So I think you're touching on that. And just ask the Berlin Wall what happens when delegitimization reaches critical mass. And people just turn on it. They turn on the government. Bottom line. Benton, do you think the Democrats are nothing but a secular religion filled with leftist zealots? This is the reason they always have the funds and the passion to vote. Yeah, I do. I do see leftism as a secular religion. Absolutely. It's Marxism in general is simply secularized Christianity. I think it was Carl Jung who said that virtually all of modern society is just secular, ossified Christianity. So, they have an origin story of evolution, but they also have this idea of the noble savage, the idea that the non-Westerner is the ideal kind of person. That goes back to Jean-Jacques Rousseau. They have the notion of salvation, but instead of the church, they have government. Instead of the 10 Commandments, now they have increasingly wokeness and liberalism. That's why this is why these people believe that abortion is in the Constitution, but your right to own a firearm is not. And they have an eschatology. They have a kingdom on earth. It's a liberal woke utopia, or the communist utopia. So it is. They are devout. They have rituals. You name it, and they tithe. So with sending a lot of money, and they're rabid fundamentalists. No dissent is allowed. There's no apologetics to it. There's no attempt to reason one into their faith. You're either in it, you're either enlightened, or you are a heretic and you need to be excommunicated. Hence, cancel culture. Molly, Byron Donald or Ben Carson for VP could set them off screaming. Absolutely. Yeah, either Donalds or Carson. Absolutely. It would be very interesting who he nominates. I'm really not liking Doug Berman, to be honest with you. The more I find out about him, the more he just reeks of neoconism. He hates Russia. He's hawkish with Taiwan and against China. We got to watch out. These guys. These rhinos, these neocons are not people we want in office anymore. Matt, why can't Trump use Argentina as an example on how we can make inflation drop? Biden and the Feds have everyone thinking inflation is here to stay. Oh, that would be great. I would love for him to talk a lot about Javier Milei. Again, I don't know how many in the country know of it. You do, obviously, Matt, but I don't know how many know about Javier Milei or the miracle of Nayib Bukele in El Salvador. I don't know how many people know about that. Certainly the legacy media doesn't tell them. So anyway, so maybe Trump could introduce it and make it front and center people's reaction. But absolutely, Javier Milei would be perfect example, template to follow. And that is it, gang. Have a wonderful and blessed Independence Day weekend, gang. I love you, and we'll see you again. Remember, if you haven't already done it, click on that link below and sign up for our Call to Arms event on the 17th, free online event where we are good. You're going to find out exactly what you need to do in order to make November too big to rig. And if you click on right now, you're also going to get our free our Courageous Conservatives kit, which you're going to love. It's going to show you how to build your own parallel economy. At the same time, it's going to give you my fake news antidote. So you get tons and tons of resources where I get my news each and every day. So click on that link below. You'll get that absolutely for free. God bless, gang. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you.